Hey there, and welcome to another Health Essentials podcast. I'm John Horton, your host. Today we're going to chat about rosemary, but not in the way you might think. Forget about using the herb as a savory seasoning. We're looking to put it on your head. Some believe that rosemary oil might be the secret ingredient for growing hair that is longer and healthier. Is there any truth to that claim? That's what we're going to find out today from dermatologist Shilpi Khetarpal. Dr. Khetarpal is one of the many experts at Cleveland Clinic who pop into our weekly podcast to share information that you can trust. Now let's start combing through what's fact or fiction when it comes to putting a few dashes of rosemary on your noggin. Dr. Khetarpal, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for making some time.
Thank you for having me.
So today we're talking about hair, and in your practice, how important is hair when people come in? Like, I'd imagine it's something that's just really big for people as far as who they are and just how they present themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, hair is something that defines us by our culture, especially women more than men. And I would say, in an average week, we probably address people's concerns about their hair maybe 25, 30 times a week or that many patients. So definitely very common. And I feel like, it's on the rise with all of us doing things virtually and being on Zoom. It seems to be kind of at the center of people's focus these days.
Well, I know I've agonized over a couple cowlicks I have for my entire life, so I guess it is just it's part of being human.
Absolutely.
So in jumping into today's topic, we're talking about rosemary oil and whether it can help you grow longer, thicker hair. Let's just kind of jump right into it. And does it work?
Yeah, so I think it all kind of started back in 2015. There was a study comparing the application of rosemary oil to 2% minoxidil, which is the generic for Rogaine. And after about 6 months, they found that it was similar efficacy in terms of hair growth. So I think that's what prompted people to kind of start talking about it, and for it to kind of be showing up in some over-the-counter products. So I think the bottom line is yes, it does work. It does need to be applied to the scalp every day. It is an oil. So if you have like kind of thin or fine or, already oily hair, you might not like the look and feel of it. But certainly when used every day, and if you're using kind of the right strength without all this other additive stuff, it can be of benefit.
So what does it do? Does it have to do with like blood circulation, or is it just, like Miracle Grow?
Yeah, so I think it's, so it comes from the plant. It's the oil, from the plant, and it has a few different ingredients and different properties based on that. So this carnosic acid has known for over time to kind of heal like damaged nerves. It heals tissue and it can improve like cell turnover. They believe that has to do with helping circulation. So if you increase blood flow to the scalp, then you can certainly, give the hair all the nutrients it needs to be to shed less, to be a little bit healthier, and to grow. It's also had some anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. So I think all of that together is why it can be beneficial, not only to preserve the hair you have, but also to decrease hair loss and potentially stimulate hair growth.
Well, and that kind of leads into the next question where we're talking about it helping your hair grow a little better. Will it actually help restore hair? If you have a little bald patch, can you put a little rosemary on it and maybe get some new sprouts?
Yeah, so I think like I said, in that study, they did show that it helped. I think it's going to be limited. Like it's not going to be, oh, my hair is 90% better. But could it certainly be used either by itself or in addition to medical therapy? Absolutely. I think the key is making sure that it's used as a leave-on product. So you don't want to put it on and then wash your hair right away. Perhaps putting it on at nighttime and then maybe washing it off in the morning if you don't like the feel of it. And the key is like applying it to the scalp. It doesn't really matter if you put it on the ends or on the hair itself. You just want to apply it to the scalp as a treatment. So, yes, it can certainly help, but I think the extent of improvement is variable.
Okay, so you're not going to go from bald to a full head of hair just by rubbing a little rosemary oil on your head.
Exactly. But, can it certainly give the hair a boost? Absolutely. Can it potentially, decrease some inflammation and, just, get, like I said, be used as like an adjunctive therapy? Absolutely.
Aside from hair growth, is there anything else that rosemary oil can do for your hair?
So, if people have like, dandruff or, some inflammation of the scalp, it can certainly assist with that, helping, calm it down. But I think most of the properties are more to like grow hair. But certainly, if it's like what we call seborrheic dermatitis or the medical name for dandruff, it can certainly help with that.
I even saw one claim online, and we'll just say I'm asking for a friend here, where it can help with gray hair. I mean, any
Yeah.
truth to that?
So, I have seen that. The theory is that basically the hair grays due to like stress from the environment, and the rosemary oil can decrease that. I think in theory it can. I guess, I think more studies need to be done to determine its effect. But, I think that's a potential benefit, but I don't think it's going to change someone who's, 90% gray, giving them all their color back, but certainly worth a try.
All right. Well, that is good to know on a personal note here. So, so if someone wants to try using rosemary oil on their hair, how should they go about doing it? I mean, do you have any kind of actionable tips that people can use to kind of get started?
Yeah, so I would say avoid fragrances like or what we call carrier oils. So like you just want something with 100% rosemary oil, none of the other stuff. So you can certainly like find those online or like make sure it's a reputable source. Fragrances and things can certainly like make things less effective or irritate the scalp. I would also say before you go ahead and just apply it to your whole scalp, I recommend people do like what's called like a use test or a patch test where you put a small amount maybe on a certain area of the scalp, make sure you don't react to it before putting it all over. So that's something easy and simple to do. But there's a lot of over-the-counter brands that have rosemary oil in their products, and I think many of them have some good clinical data supporting their use. So certainly a good place to start.
Is it better for certain hair types? I know you hear about people with thin hair or thicker hair, or
Yeah.
does it just work for everybody?
So, I mean, the ingredient should work for everyone. It's just a matter of how you incorporate it into your routine. So, people with like very dry, coarse hair might be able to use it every day and like actually use it as an oil to their scalp and their hair and not have to wash it out. They may still be able to wash their hair every week. But people with like fine or, fine hair, it's going to make it look greasy and weighed down. So, they might need to wash it out every day. So I think everyone can use it. It's just a matter of how you incorporate it into your regimen, whether you put it on at night, then wash it off in the morning, or maybe just use it every other day. But it's certainly, I think a lot of people may not like the feel of the oil and they may feel like it weighs down their hair and makes it look greasy.
So it sounds like you can use it daily if it kind of works for you, or you can modify it and use it every other day or a couple times a week.
Right. So I think the key is apply it to the scalp, leave it on for at least a few hours.
And how much should you use when you put it on? Is there an amount that's usually best, or do you just kind of put it on and kind of see how it goes?
Yeah. So, in the studies, they did 1 ml or 1 milliliter. So I would say that's probably like around a teaspoon, and then kind of to cover the majority of the scalp.
Okay, so it sounds like a little goes a long way.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Um, any other tips that you might have, kind of as far as using it, or whether it's something people should go look for?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I think you want to be realistic that, hair that say you've like if someone's maybe had hair loss for over 20 years, it may not work wonders, but if it's, something more recent, it can. And the other big thing is just give it time. So in their studies, it did take 6 months to see the effect. So you do have to use it, I would say at least 2 or 3 times a week for 6 months to see meaningful improvement. So if you're gonna go ahead and start it, just be consistent and give it time.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, and I look forward to having you back on.
Great, thank you.
So there you have it. Rosemary oil seems to be a pretty simple and safe at-home way to boost hair growth. If you go that route, though, definitely make sure to keep your kitchen and bathroom rosemary separate. Till next time, be well.